Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market, and let's figure out what has happened so far and what we can expect moving forward. As usual, with all that being said, of course, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. And again, my membership section on YouTube is now live. The link is below if you're interested, where I share my intraday thoughts on Tesla as it moves. And the final thing, of course, is I do use TrendSpider now. If you're interested in using this platform to chart yourself, I do also have an affiliate link down below. Highly recommend it. This actually is a pretty damn good platform. Now, all that being said, let's jump into it. The market's closing in just a few minutes here, but Tesla looking like it'll be closing down almost 1% on the day, which compared to the market, QQQ being up almost 1% and Tesla being down almost 1%, obviously a little bit of an underperformance, but it's nothing absolutely astronomically severe in my opinion, though it is absolutely an underperformance. So this is where things get a little bit dicey, in all honesty. This is where things get a little bit confusing. And the reason I say that is as follows, and it also relates to QQQ. So for Tesla, we came up, like I said, the other day, right? And I did say I think we'll come up to around 275. We did come up to around 273. So about $2 roughly off of my price target. I still think it's possible that we come up to 275. I actually don't think it's impossible. I actually think it's still decently likely. The 1 hour, let's talk about 1 hour first, right? The 1 hour, or in this case, 65-minute chart, which is essentially a better version of the 1 hour chart. At the moment, there's two things that are a little bit suspicious. Number one, the thing that's a little bit bearish is the fact that we are closing below this 267-ish level. So you can see we came up above it, right? And a lot of times we came down below this 267 level, but each time the candles have either closed above it, or if it did go below it, it got recouped back up and we did close above it, similar to what we did all the way over here on the left, right? Same idea over here. Unfortunately, it looks like we're getting a bit of a weak close, over 1% now, about 1.2% actually, getting a bit of a sell-off here towards the end of the day, which isn't great because now not only are we closing below the 267 level, which isn't ideal, but with that being said, we're also closing below on the daily, below that 21 exponential moving average. So yesterday's close, I did talk about how it wasn't a very convincing close above the 21 EMA, right? And I wouldn't get too excited as a bull just yet, as I still personally think there's overall more downside. Now, I'm a little bit surprised it didn't go a little bit higher than this because, again, as we discussed many times, and we can go back to the 65-minute, right? You usually want to take that Fibonacci and you want to retrace it. Oops, not that. You want to take this one here. You want to go from the swing high to the swing low, and you want to kind of retrace it. And you can see we did actually come up to the 0.382 level. I talked about how this is one of the levels. I personally like the 0.5 the most, but it can be any of these three levels, between the 0.618 all the way down to the 0.382. Any of those levels can be that kind of retracement level that we get to. The higher we go to, the more powerful it is in the opposite direction. So for instance, if let's say we came down here and let's say we ultimately from this bounce come up to the 282 level, which is the 0.618 level, that to me tells me that the bull trend is still, I guess a better way to put it would be the bearish trend isn't as strong as maybe the bears would want to see, right? The flip side, however, is if we do get rejected at this 0.382 level and we don't go higher than this, and this is the area that we do reject that and ultimately maybe even go lower, that to me tells me that the bearish trend is actually a little bit stronger than I anticipated, right? And the 0.5 level is obviously somewhere in the middle, where it's just a kind of like a regular trend. It's not too strong, not too weak, right? Kind of in the middle. But we're getting rejected this early at the 0.382 so far. Again, I wouldn't call it conclusive just yet, but so far showing signs of rejection out at this level isn't ideal for the bulls. And this to me tells me that the trend to the downside is still very much alive and probably even stronger than I initially anticipated. So we'll see what that comes out to, right? But that's not ideal. And again, also closing below the 21 EMA also is not ideal. Also moving over to the QQQ, I do want to very quickly talk about this, right? QQQ came up again, similar to Tesla, right? Obviously had a massive fall like Tesla, and then of course had this little run up like Tesla. Unfortunately, QQQ is also getting rejected at a pretty pivotal area. As you can see, if we even draw a bit of a trend here, if you will, you can do something like this, for instance, right? No, not that, sorry. Let me go ahead and zoom out on this, right? You can see somewhere around this area right here. So if I do it somewhere roughly where we actually got rejected, right? Give or take this kind of general area-ish, right? Where you can see many times before we had a lot of dances around that area, a lot of, kind of support around this general-ish area, a lot of resistance around here. Now we're kind of doing the same thing over here, kind of, resisting around that area as well. So, pretty important level for the bulls to break and for the bears to defend. And so far the bears are defending that. So keep that in mind. That's pretty important. And again, Tesla closing below 267 in my books looks is not very, very good. On the 65-minute chart, you can also see that the MACD is actually, it had a bit of that bullish swing, but it's really not finding a lot more momentum in the bullish favor. Kind of, see how with the red kind of bars here, as it kept going down, the bars kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not really happening for the bullish side, right? It kind of went and peaked, and it's kind of went just the same level several times in a row. Now it's actually getting smaller. So that to me is also a little bit of signs that, this bullish trend to the upside, this little dead cat bounce, looking a little bit flimsy. It's not showing a lot of strength here, and it's not what the bulls want to be seeing as of right now. So keep that in mind, guys. It's very important to understand, in my opinion. Also, of course, we had that volume by price level, right? Let's go back to the daily for this one. I like the daily on this a little bit more, right? But ultimately, we did come up to this level where, it's not the biggest volume. I'm a little bit surprised it got rejected this early. Maybe the market's overall showing weakness. We have a big earnings coming up today. I think we have Microsoft and Google after market closes, which is in literally just a couple minutes here. So that could be a little bit of, anticipation going into that, a little bit of hedging going into that, a little bit of fear, maybe even going into that. So depending on how those things go, that could be something that actually lets Tesla kind of, have that chance to pull up with the market itself up to that 275, potentially even 280s level. But again, so far, just strictly off technical analysis, this isn't a very convincing close, and I am personally not very happy with this close from a bullish perspective. If I was a bear and I had puts, I would be a little bit happy with this close. I'm not gonna lie, this would be a pretty decent bearish looking close, and it would be a little bit concerning for the most part. Take a quick look at the options chain as well for Tesla one more time, as we did before. We'll take a look at this pretty much on the daily, because I think this is a great thing to look at daily. See how it's fluctuating, right? But you can see a lot of bearish, a lot more bearish option flow happening right here. You can see a lot more red circles than we saw yesterday, right? So yesterday we saw kind of a bit more green than red, but kind of mixed, but slightly more green. And that's maybe that little push we had in the morning. I did have that push almost to 275, which is, again, was almost my price target. But now you can see a lot more red, and especially this massive red one right here with a lot of puts, right? 280 puts expiring on 17th of November of 2023. Which isn't that far out, right? It's only a few months out, right? It's not that far out. Decent premium, right? 500,000 in premium, which is quite a lot, right? So keep that in mind. And it's, it's a lot of open interest because the circle is quite large. So, there's a lot of negativity, I guess. I gotta sneeze. But a lot of negativity essentially in the options flow, a lot of bearishness happening a bit in the options flow coming in after this little bit of a rally we had in the morning, right? Taking a look also on the daily, right? Like I said many times, the RSI is still not looking that great on the daily, right? Still showing overall bearish divergences because it's making lower lows, even though the stock made higher lows technically so far, and also making lower highs, even though the stock made higher lows. It's doing literally the opposite. As Tesla is making higher lows, higher highs, RSI is making lower lows, lower highs. Classic bearish divergence, which again, I do believe this will still play out. And I do believe ultimately there is, like I said many times, more downside ahead. It's just a matter of how far does this dead cat bounce go. And so far, it seems like this might actually be it. Unfortunately, it's not looking that great. On top of that, we also have the MACD on the daily, not looking too positive as well. So that's not, not something the bulls want to see, is all I'm going to say. So with that being said, people were also asking, where did I come to the conclusion that I think it'll come down to about the 220s roughly, right? Well, I know it could be something as simple as taking the Fibonacci, going from the swing low to the swing high over here. And you can see all the way to the 0.5 level, which again is my favorite level personally, is going to be that 226 level. Now, very important to note, however, right? 243, you can see, right? The 0.32 level, which is level we just got rejected, like I showed you on the 65-minute chart, the 1 hour chart. Same concept here applies, right? Like I said, it's a strong bounce, right? If Tesla only comes down to this 243-ish level, which is a crucial level, by the way, because this is also where that massive bounce from over here. And I also showed you guys how the volume is extremely little, right? If we break below 240s, the volume is non-existent up until pretty much the 220s again, right? So very important level, the 243-ish level, right? Because again, not only if you bounce off of there, that'll be same as here, but it's also the 0.32 level, which again, like I just said in the 65-minute chart, if we bounce from there, it's a strong bullish momentum actually. That'll be very powerful for the bulls, and if we do find a bounce from there, I think the momentum forward will be pretty powerful. However, with that being said, if we don't and we fall even lower, then of course the 0.5 level is the neutral level, right? Not really bullish or bearish, but still more bullish than bearish, but not like substantially more bullish. And of course the 0.618 level, which I think is still very possible potentially to break to get to, mainly because we still have that ultimate, teal trend line that we did break above that we haven't actually retested, which would take us to that 0.618 level, which would be the very low 200s as well. So those are the kind of main levels I'll be looking at, right? Again, the first level that potentially could be the bottom, and massive bounce goes from there and we go into the 300s is 243, which I will be continuing to buy there. 226 is the next one, and 208 is the last resort that the bulls really don't want to lose. But that's kind of what I am seeing moving forward. So let me know what you guys think down below. I have been personally selling calls against my shares just as a hedge. Because I don't think there was going to be that much more upside, so I did sell calls. But yeah, I'm essentially hedging, and the rest is cash, and I'm pretty much waiting to buy in. The final thing I'll mention very quickly is Disney. I did talk about Disney many times. I did actually do a small day trade, very small day trade, nothing crazy, of course. But I did buy pretty much right around this 85.5 level and sold around 86.2, I think it was, almost at the top, which is a pretty good trade. Actually, I was very happy about that. Very small, like it wasn't anything major. I was like pocket change, honestly, but nonetheless, still a bit of a nice day trade there regardless. But Disney, like I talked about, and this is kind of what I see Tesla doing right now, right? This massive fall, and now we're kind of doing the bear flag, and now it's falling out of the bear flag, and it's kind of a weak close here, not the best looking close for Disney as well, right? It's kind of similar to what Tesla's doing as well, right? That's same idea, and I think Disney has actually a decent chance to come down to the low 80s as well, which would follow the market to move overall down even further. But all that being said and done, that's kind of what I am seeing. So let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.